All right, welcome to Raven's Arcana. I am Raven, your host for this evening. And it is not the evening, it is actually midday on Sunday. And welcome. All right, so today what I would like to do is remove a little bit of the scariness, if you will, from the death card. So I'm going to talk about how intimidating this card can be and actually talk about how to make it less intimidating. When I pull this for myself in a personal reading, I'm immediately intimidated just because I've been front loaded through, fear from society or religion, things like that with death. It's the end. It is the end all be all. And that's not necessarily the case. And I just want to remove some of that intimidation and fear from the card and just talk a little bit about how we can avoid becoming so scared of it. So the card we're talking about today, once again, is death. But we're going to pull this from the Illuminati deck. Now, the Illuminati deck, if you are unfamiliar, is a stylized version of the Rider-Waite. So it's going to maintain the symbolism of the Rider-Waite, all the traditional symbolism. And it's a little bit more updated and a sexier version, if you will. I think it is. And so we'll just jump right in here. So the death card, there you go, if my camera will focus. So it is the 13th in the major arcana. And once again, it captures the traditional symbolism of the Rider-Waite. It has Death, or the Grim Reaper, mounting the white steed. Now, not actually mounting the white steed. He is a mount. He is riding the white horse. The white horse has his foot on top of the king, which appears to be dead. So representing death there. And we do have the flag with the rose on it. We also have the two towers of the moon. And the sun seems to have replaced the moon, and the two towers of the moon, of course, are referencing the moon card. Now, I did want to get to the symbolism of the card, of course, with the characters and the landscape on there. And I also wanted to talk about color symbolism. I wanted to talk about how this relates to alchemy, numerology, and the progression through the tarot as well, to make it a little less scary here for you, and for me. And so we'll start out with the figures and the landscape. So we have the king laying on the ground, which for me represents that no matter who you are, no matter what social status, you can be the king, but you cannot cheat death. You cannot avoid it. The horse standing on top, is a white horse. Now, for me, that's purification. That is cleanliness. That is oneness. So not a bad thing there. We do have the Grim Reaper, or Death, holding the flag with the rose on it. Now for me, the rose represents alchemy, and the colors represent alchemy as well. So concentrating on the flag, we're going to have black, the red outline of the rose, the white interior of the rose. So that's going to, for me, represent the three kind of outline stages. There's more stages, but the main stages of alchemy. Negredo, blackness. Albedo, whiteness. Rubedo, redness. So that is representative of transformation of lead into gold, which, as we know, is a metaphor for spiritual alchemy. In the back, we're going to have the two towers of the moon card, but the moon, once again, has been replaced by the sun. For me, that is going to talk about transformation, and it's going to be talking about life and death on a day. Pluto governs the death card, and Pluto is all about transformation. It's about alchemy. It's about life and death. So this is a perfect representation of that. And death does not have to be scary. While it can be, of course, a forced death, or a death that comes on without your knowledge, just a quick death, can be horrifying. It can be very traumatic and a very unpleasant experience. But I think in this case, death is talking about transformation. So life cycles, we all go through life cycles. And getting back to the sun and the moon, the life cycle of a day. And so every day there's a transformation. With the setting of the sun, the rising of the moon, if you will, it's going to represent, the leaves of the trees, the flowers, the grass, kind of going into a nightly slumber, if you will. And then when the sun comes back up, the roses, the plants reach towards the sun. And that's a life cycle. That's a cycle in a day. And we all go through cycles. And this transformation does not have to be a bad one. Now, getting back to the card, let's go through, we've talked about a little bit of the color symbolism on the flag. But once again, the white horse with the purity, the king on the ground, death is unavoidable. If you can see, looks like there's foliage on the ground, and while I am colorblind, I'm told that there's indigo, violet, and kind of a fading off into white on the ground. For me, those colors are going to represent, for starting out with indigo, that's going to be wisdom, it's going to be justice or truth. The violet is going to represent intuition. It's going to represent kind of spirituality, and the white is going to be oneness and purity. So actually we have here gaining knowledge, gaining the truth, combining that with your intuition, and to become complete. So that transformation is a great transformation. And, to further explain how this is a good thing is we'll look at the progression through the tarot. So if you're choosing to make these decisions, if you're choosing to follow a path that allows you to change, make changes, for instance, if you stop drinking so much, then you have more mental clarity, you have the ability to become more one, more in touch, more aware, which is a good thing. Going back to the progression of the tarot, so the card before the death card is going to be the Hanged Man. So the Hanged Man is all about self-sacrifice, letting go. You're choosing to do this. And then you enter into death, which is transformation. It's the end of a cycle, the beginning of a new cycle. So you've chosen to let go through a purification process. Death of the old cycle, purification, birth of a new cycle. And then if you get into the next card, in progression of the tarot, it's going to be Temperance. So Temperance is all about your purpose and how it sounds, patience. So if we're also looking at the numerology on here, this is a 13. So 13 reduced down in numerology is going to be a 4. So 4 is going to represent stability. So as scary as this looks, literal death riding in on a white horse, trampling the king, the 4 represents stability. And for example, if we go back to the Hanged Man, what we were just talking about, that is the 12th trump, or the 12th major arcana. That's reduced down to a 3. So that's communication. Speeding back up, going to Temperance, which we just talked about. Temperance reduced down. 14 reduces down to a 5. So that's chaos. So for me, what that means is with the Hanged Man, we've communicated to the universe that we're going to let go. We are entering into the transformation in the death card, which is stability. So any kind of even chemical transformation requires a stable environment, correct? So an unstable chemical reaction results in chaos. Now, going into Temperance, the 14 reduced down to the 5 is chaos. But with any transformation, it's not going to be perfect. So you're going to have to weather the storm. And as we know, after Temperance comes the Devil card, which is another scary card, and we'll get into that later in another video. But this is not a bad thing. And especially if you're paying attention, especially if you're kind of wise to the fact that you are going to go through transformations. you are definitely going to go through things. They might be forced on you, or you can choose to pay attention, and you can choose to shed your skin yourself. You can choose to make those decisions to get rid of some of the things that have been holding you down and become a new person anytime you want to. And I think if you look at that, and if you look at all this, that it's life and death is not finite. I mean, it's not the end all be all to die. And it's not talking about your physical death. It's talking about a spiritual death, which doesn't have to be woo-woo. It just has to be you're making a change to be a better you. So thank you so much for taking the time to view this video and listen. If you did like it, please give me a like. If you really liked it, please subscribe. There's more to come. And enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'm out.